Warm welcome to everyone here as we gather around and settle in for session 4 of The Shrouded Shore. I'm Amelie, Dragon Mom and Dungeon Master for today's session, and with me are Cross as, Draken as, and Vertizen as. Today, Yulia will not be joining us because she is sick. Her character will be engaged in scouting and infiltration around the town. Oh, wait. Again? There's some hotkey that's muting things that I'm occasionally pressing that I don't see yet. So I'm going to have to track that down at some point. But, okay, starting over. Warm welcome to everyone here as we gather around and settle in for session 4 of The Shrouded Shore. I'm Amelie, Dragon Mom, and Dungeon Master for today's session, and with me are Cross as,
Justicia.
Draken as,
Maker?
Vertizen as,
Cromgrim.
Yulia as, well, missing, unfortunately. Today, Yuli is sick, and her character is going to be engaging in scouting and infiltration around town, as rogues are wont to do. If she was here, she'd be paying Bayleaf, however. And with that, would anyone like to kick us off with a summary of last session?
Last time on Shrouded Shore, the party made it to the town of Gallia, and it is Gallia, right? No,
No, it is Aged. It is.
Argade. Sorry.
It has almost no phonemes in common with Gallia, but good try.
Well, there is an A, there is a G.
Yeah. Hey. Close.
In Argade, and the forging town of the Blasted Lands. There, the party did a bunch of exploring around the town, getting introduced to the locals, and doing a minor bit of crime. Once they were established, Baby came into contact with the resident ne'er-do-wells of the town, and they have set us up with a mission to outfit their numbers with swords stolen from the forge complex. Here we are at the beginning of the work shift, about to undergo a heist of swords.
And that you are. You have gone inside the largest building of the Forge complex, the central industrial building. And smoke and flames surround you in the heart of Ergade's largest workshop, along with the clamor of hammers and ringing steel. Basins of molten alloy bubble and spit, waiting to be cast into plates and ingots, while the shouts of workers fill the air, requesting additional materials or announcing the completion of a project to be picked up and carted off by the various assistants running about. Everything reeks of ash, and for the first time since you've arrived in Partu, the sound of falling rain is totally drowned out by the din. Metal comes in, weapons go out. Weapons go to cooling racks, then to a storage room elsewhere, then eventually get loaded into hand carts, which get brought to a warehouse to be bundled onto flat packs and shipped south. It's all a machine, well greased by decades of refinement in the Imperial heartland. You're here to find the cracks in that machine. You can see there are fellow workers all about. Crom, you recognize Foreman Donal, the big ol' orc who has been overseeing this shift both the previous times you've been here. He doesn't seem to have noticed you in turn yet, but he very likely quickly will, because, I mean, Crom is huge. He's gigantic. He's very easy to notice. But for the three of you who are in the building at the moment, you are going to need to blend in. And that means at least finding a way to look like you're being useful.
Asticia is going to look for a spot in the a spot that isn't being well watched, and like a smaller number of workers and of foremen, and just kind of attempt to meander. She's going to kind of keep walking around as if she has someone asked her to do something important and never actually arrived anywhere.
Is she going to be like carrying anything? Is she just sort of like milling around?
She'll probably pick up something that looks like it needs to be picked up and put it somewhere.
Right.
She's just trying to copy the people around her because she has no idea what this physical labor does.
Give me a deception on her part to see like how well she kind of carries herself and projects I'm supposed to be here. No one seems to question her immediately. It's unclear how long that will last, but for the moment, people are actually by and large, they're getting out of her way and letting her go about. It seems to be assumed that, like, as an Imperial, she is in some way in charge of this place, even by people who haven't seen her around before. Like, she seems to be getting clocked as, like, some kind of inspector or what have you.
She's going to ride that as far as she can.
Yeah. So, Crom, are you going to settle into smithing? Are you going to be doing something else?
We're waiting for a signal, right?
Yes, I
Or
will say that because Baby isn't with you, she is going to be like watching, and you can signal her at basically, well, she'll be watching, and you just give like a like hand signal near like any of like the doors of the facility or whatever, like, and you'll have someone ready to create a distraction a couple minutes after you give that signal.
okay.
There's a few like doors in and out of the facility. What you've got for this foundry is you've got a large central building that is where like most of the like industry is taking place, and you've got two large yards on either side of this building, kind of enveloping it. And those yards are full of like raw materials. They're full of like stacks of lumber, stacks of metal and ore. There's a lot of stuff being brought in from the mines here. So stuff gets like brought into these courtyards, dumped, sorted, processed, and then brought into the central building for crafting. There are fences around the courtyard, but not like full walls. So if you're in the courtyard at any point, which is an area you're allowed to go to, you can give signals from there. The two outer buildings are the like warehouse buildings where stuff is, well, not warehouses. These are where things are packaged up to be shipped off to the warehouse buildings around the district. These are where the carts come in. These are where the crates are packed, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so then Crom is going to basically get to work. But he's going to he's going to work slowly and keep an eye out for the signal um for when the heist starts.
Right. So, Maker, what are you doing?
Maker is pretending to be an automaton by just doing menial work and not saying anything. He's also examining his surroundings for mechanic devices that are part of the complex.
There are a lot of those, actually. Most of the smelteries have, like, an aquatic component to them that controls, like, heat, because these foundries are used for smelting different metals based on what the mines are producing a lot of at any given time. And different alloys and metals call for different levels of heat, different what have you. Someone like Maker could sabotage or overheat or cause these things to, like, break in various ways. And you could do so pretty subtly because you have the ability to
manipulate these things remotely.
yeah, remotely. Aside from those, the lights in all the buildings are aquatic lighting inside. There's no, like, torches and what have you because there's enough smoke already. So these are all, like, little, like, crystal lamps with aquatic, like, rune lines connecting them along the ceiling.
The lights will depend a bit on how tall they are, how high up they are, because, or at least how close to the ground their controls are, because it does have a 30 feet reach with his remote control ability.
The controls, there are, like, switches at obviously at, like, the level that people can reach them.
Yeah.
These are just lights, so they're not something that Maker can fry. They don't go to a level where they can break themselves. But he can basically flip the switch on the lights at will remotely.
I'm to be spooky.
Time to host a rave. Okay, so as Crom is working and Maker is doing his work, Destitia is actually approached by the foreman on duty.
Uh-oh.
Because she has been writing this whole, like, passing off as someone important, and obviously that's going to attract the attention of the actual important person here. And Donald, he is big. He is just as broad as Crom is, but a solid head shorter. Just these big floppy orcish ears tied back behind him, keep him out of his face, and he seems like he doesn't come after you looking suspicious. He comes looking a little nervous, actually. Just like, hello, I don't think I've seen you before. Could I have the pleasure of your name, miss?
Oh, well, hello there. She gives a small bow. I am thinking of name. I, Isoted.
Isoted.
Yes.
All right. So, Miss Isoted, I have to ask, what are you doing here? I wasn't informed of. What is this exactly? Are you
Well,
here to work? Have you been assigned by the garrison?
nothing quite complex. I've just been here to. I'm just here to earn a few more coins for my family.
I see. All right. Do you have a workstation?
No, not currently. I've been asked to. I've been assisting others in in their pursuits, and haven't had a chance to settle down at one thing.
Well, don't worry. We have a way of doing things here. We have plenty of hired hands. If you are a craftsperson, you are a craftsperson, correct?
I know some things about crafting.
Excellent. Well, if you know your way around a forge, then we've got plenty of seats for you, and do not worry, we have no shortage of manual labor. If you need anything, let one of the assistants know, or find an automaton to help you. We don't have as many of them as I'd like, but they get the work done. Now, here he leads you over to a open space at one of the workbenches and kind of sits you down with like a hammer and some metal ingots and just
Oh
like,
no. Bad.
all right, I'm Donald. I am the foreman here, and
It's a
let me know
pleasure,
if
Donald.
anything. Yes, if anything comes up that you need, let me know.
Of course.
He still doesn't look like he quite buys that you aren't someone more important just because you have some expensive looking flesh crafting on your body with those extra arms.
She
But
looks
he's
over her shoulder and motions Donald to come a little bit closer.
he pauses and he leans in.
Doing quite a good job. She whispers covertly and gives him a small wink.
Well, I try. I like to think we do good work here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He seems quite pleased with himself and kind of like ambles off merrily to go find something else to manage.
Okay, he's not expecting me to do that much work since I'm undercover. She thinks to herself and kind of just looks at the hammer, pass it around between a few of her hands, quite unsure what to do next.
Which hand do you hold the hammer with?
She,
All right.
she's probably going to, after a few minutes, look for Maker to do things for her. She is quite out of her element.
All right. So, you seem like you have largely avoided attention, other than Maker, who keeps getting yelled at to carry something from point A to point B. Just, like, people seem to just see an automaton doing a task. And unlike when you see a person doing a task, you see a robot doing a task and you immediately assume that whatever it's doing is less important than the thing you want it to do. So he's getting like yelled at frequently to like drop whatever he's doing and do something else instead. But aside from him, you have a bit of leeway to maneuver.
That's how the robot revolution truly starts.
Just biding his time. At some point, if Maker goes by Destesia's workstation, she's going to use her newfound authority to demand Maker to work for her and her alone, or at least make it look like it.
Maker
Because-
will comply as he's been complying with every dumb order he's received since he entered this place.
So, the first thing, obviously, is you're going to need to get to the parts of the facility with the actual completed things as opposed to these raw materials, which are valuable in bulk, but not really what you're here for.
Since now that she's been here for a little bit, and it seems that her cover has been secured, she is going to look for the foreman and maybe get a covert tour of the place.
So he is pretty easy to track down at all times. He's like on his feet, just kind of like bustling up and down. He seems to actually be doing pretty well at his job. He is keeping people on task without really resorting to like threats or what have you. Just kind of handing out short breaks where they're needed, looking for people who are doing well, looking for people who are lagging behind, and making sure that they get some support to catch up on their quotas, so on and so forth. He passes by you a few times, but when he does, he will generally wink at you because he doesn't even have like an ounce of subtlety. But if you like motion for him to like stop or pay more attention, then he will like sidle up and be like, "Oh, what is it? I see. Oh, I see you're making use of one of our automatons. Very, very nice. This must be one of the new ones that came in. I don't quite recognize that plating, but as you do, is there something you needed, miss? Ma'am."
Yes. Now that I've had a moment to look around the forges here, I was hoping to get maybe you could direct me to a few other of the facilities, just for a quiet look around. Or
Of course, this is where this is where my own authority is focused. But I suppose I can take a few moments to. Well, yes, everyone's on task. We're doing well on our quotas for today, so I suppose this place won't fall apart in a few minutes without being carefully managed.
of course.
Regardless, come along. Yeah. He gestures for you to follow and takes you out of the building through the like north doors, and well, you can see these are our work yards. They are very well organized. One of my close friends is manages the intake of supplies here. You can see we have lumber from the edge of the forest down south. You would not believe how quickly those trees grow. Constantly collected, they can regrow almost as fast as we can chop them. You can
That's quite
see
useful for the industrial complex. I wish we had that on the mainland.
exactly, yes. Partu has things to offer. To be sure, I was born here, you know, and I like to take pride in our land's rich resources. And at any rate, we've got, you see, the ore from the mines. There's now the ore here has been sifted and sorted already. There's the truly valuable ingots, the orichalcum, we can't refine here. We don't have the facilities to refine any material that refined. But the
Oh,
ore
so the
is
rumors are true. There is orichalcum here.
oh yes, trace amounts, mind you, very, very small amounts. It's a tiny fraction of the total production of these mines, but even a few grains of it can be tremendously valuable, and it is it is he pauses and he
I
thinks,
uh,
well,
I understand. It's a little bit of a complex metal.
it's imperative that it reach the proper hands. uh, the, the senator has been quite clear that the production of orichalcum is the foremost duty of the mines. We are here mostly to make good use of all the lesser ores that come with it. Some might say that this is a lesser duty, but I like to think of it as a practical one. Yes. So, what we have is
It's impressive
it's impressive.
for
Yes.
an outpost.
Yes. Yes. We're no great city just yet, but we're working on it. One day, people know that this is a city of opportunity. The veins are deep and rich, and it will take many years before we start to deplete them in any meaningful capacity.
So where do
However,
you keep the completed
yes,
products?
yes, right here, through here, through here. He takes you a little bit further across the courtyard, through this enormous set of open doors, and into a series, like a sort of sectioned off, not quite a warehouse, but it's a processing area. like several rooms full of crates with people running about with like hand carts full of materials, full of completed stuff. Like you see a lot of short swords, some crossbows. There are, for the first time, like you haven't actually seen many thralls around, but there are a few thralls on guard in this area over the like completed supplies that don't seem to have like active handlers. They're just like on sentry duty in some form. Um, well, here you can see we've got 4 rooms. The 4 rooms for different kinds of equipment, armor, weaponry, ranged weaponry, and tools. Uh, Easily sorted, makes the job very simple and straightforward for our friends at where in the shipping section of the warehouse. Um, we well, obviously you can see there's racks over here where weapons are brought. They are left to cool fully so that we can package them without worrying about starting a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And once they're cooled, usually that does not take terribly long.
Um,
We sorry.
she checks the rooms to see all their entrances, windows, and stuff like that.
They do not have windows. Each of them has, like, each of these, like, secondary rooms has, like, 2 sets of doors. Like, one that seems to, like, be intended for leading in, one that seems to be intended for leading out. They, a lot of people are moving, like, in and out of them. Some people are, like, packing boxes full. Some people are loading boxes onto carts. Some people are leaving with carts full of boxes. Some people are returning with empty carts. It's there's a lot of like people moving through this area at pretty much all
Okay.
times, but there's no windows and there's limited access to the rooms. It seems like they are keeping some track over who's going where, but not
Oh,
close. There's just too many people for them to possibly be like individually tracking everyone. It's more like are the right number of things coming in and going out.
okay.
So you can see it's all quite a process, but it is not a well. It goes smoothly. Everyone here has had plenty of practice, and they're using techniques that I understand have been used for decades in the on the mainland. Um,
I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
is there anything else that I can help you with? Any questions that I could answer?
No, no, no. I've kept you too long from your work. Let us head back, and I will resume my quiet position at the forges.
Of course, of course, of course. Let me know if there's anything else, and if I could. Mm, this may be presumptuous, but I don't know. I don't know who sent you here. Yes, of course, I don't know why you're here, but if there's anyone you could speak to about the about the production quotas for in individuals smithies, they're quite high. My craftsmen are skilled, but they're being pushed to exhaustion day after day, and it doesn't always result in the best work. If
Quite
you could,
high, huh?
She gives her just uh, says that quietly and looks him over in her best noble uh, uh,
well, forget I said anything. I just thought you might want a little bit of insight into how we do things and some of the difficulties we face from time to time. Nothing we can't overcome. Yes.
I'll keep it in mind.
Yes, very good of you, very good of you. Thank you. He escorts you back to your little forge and settles you in before returning to his own work.
Oh boy, I can't wait to burn this place to the ground.
Contrary to what some expect, in the 5 minutes you're gone, nothing that isn't supposed to be on fire has actually caught on fire. Unless Maker has been up to something. Has Maker been up to anything?
Not just yet.
All right. So,
Desticia is going to, as part of her little work routine, go past Maker and Crom and just give them a little bit notification of that she's found the warehouse and the stuff, and that there are thralls there, but mainly that there's stuff where the stuff is.
as you do.
Keep everyone on the same page.
So from there, what action do you take?
All right. So,
We're just waiting for a signal, or do we signal that we found
You
it?
signal. Like,
Okay.
In
Okay.
particular, Maker is in a real good position to signal because he's regularly like walking around, going out into the yard, picking up supplies, so on.
I think
Uh,
we're ready.
Maker's going to do the signal then.
All right.
He's going to do some flashing with his eye.
You give the signal. You don't see anyone receive the signal. Not immediately, but you know you're being watched. And a couple minutes later, you hear from outside of the complex. You hear like a little bit of a commotion from outside, and
The stream is not working. It looks like it went down.
wait, the stream is down. It says.
It happened for me briefly as well, but I just had to click a button and it's back. No, it's down completely.
Oh, there.
Coming back?
It came
Okay,
back.
it's back.
OBS says that I'm streaming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
must
back,
have been a
it's back.
Twitch thing.
It's
Okay.
back.
It's
Okay.
back.
Asking chat, is the stream down? It just occurred to me how ridiculous that is as a thing to do.
Yeah, there is a delay, and also you might be offline.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. This is all.
Everything seems to be running.
Everything seems to be running. Okay. Last night, weather knocked like my internet out for like 2 hours, so I'm really hoping. Like when you said stream was down, I was like, oh no. Okay. Look, right now, chat is saying I shouldn't give chat this kind of responsibility. Right now, chat is small, and while chat is small, chat can be given responsibility. It's a privilege you will at some point lose, so make the most of it while you have it. Anyway, Maker has given a signal, and that signal, you haven't seen any confirmation that it was received, but a few minutes later you do hear a bit of a commotion from outside, sort of coming from like the streets outside, down here, like this area, where it sounds as if you can hear some shouting, you can hear some like vague demands. Like these are most noticeable if you're out in the yard. While you're out in the central complex, like again, it's too loud from all like the hammering and the hissing of steam and what have you to make out anything over it. But once you go outside, you can see it seems like someone has like basically caused a bit of a like jam in the streets with like a cart just rolling up and having its wheels fall off, basically like barrels rolling all over the place, like very aggressive looking people in like trade outfits, like kind of merchant-looking people, like yelling and shouting at soldiers to like, oh, get this, pick this up, blah 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 blah, help help help. It's all a bit of like it's a distraction, and it's drawing the attention of a lot of like the soldiers that are stationed outside the northern building of the forge.
Okay.
She hears the commotion starting to go on, so she gets up and starts calmly trapezing through the place. And
Traipsing. The word is traipsing. Trapezing is different. Calmly
oh, she's
trapezing.
got an infinite jump spell. Whoosh!
You fools! I can double jump.
Well, this is a circus.
Yeah.
Not yet, it's not. Soon.
So, as Desisha heads up there, Crom, do you move to join her?
Yeah, as soon as he hears the shouting and sees Justicia head deeper inward, he's going to get up and start following her.
All right. So you still,
As stealthily as he can, being huge.
he kind of blends in when he wants to. The room is full of smoke. He's big. He's black, kind of fluffy. You could mistake him for
A wall of smoke.
maybe. It was a good thought, but he kind of blends into the walls. All the walls in here are just like covered in soot. So, in this area, in the northern building here, most of the guards do seem to be a bit distracted by the hubbub going on outside. The thralls are all still here, just kind of like on station, but without anyone to tell them what to do, they can't really do anything. The thralls are living automaton. They're living constructs, but like they don't have brains. They don't like they can't intuit that you're doing crime.
And crime is what we shall do.
So there's some empty carts. There's lots of crates. The question is, do you start packing up? Do you look for anything specific?
Okay, the main thing we want are weapons, right?
Weapons are your primary.
Some armor probably wouldn't be bad, right?
Armor wouldn't be bad.
Let's see.
But it's also much heavier.
It is much heavier.
Okay, Crom. Start filling a box or boxes, as much as you can carry.
And he's going to take an empty box and just start shoveling weapons into it.
So.
And are there any already full boxes of weapons? Just pick up and put
a lot of these crates have been filled already. You can open them up to check what's inside. A lot of them haven't been nailed shut. So like, just
going to pick them up and cart them.
So I'm going to need an athletics check, and you can choose. This check can be DC 12, DC 16, or DC 20. Depending on whether you're just trying to like load a cart up slapdash, like just toss boxes into it, whether you're attempting to like pack it fully and neatly with plenty of loot, or whether you're planning on trying to just like pile it high with as much as you can like possibly get into it. The more you're trying to get into the cart, the tougher the athletics check is going to be to do it like quickly and efficiently.
I'm going to do a 16, DC 16.
Just try and pack it neatly, get a good full load in.
Specialties give you expertise, right?
Yes, expertise.
Okay, because he has a specialty in lifting. So
yeah, this definitely applies. This is the definition of lifting.
Hey, Maker, guide me.
Hey, guide me.
Uh, Sure. Yeah, have a guidance. Get your D6 instead of D4. Make
Okay.
just pats Grom in the back with his counter.
Meanwhile,
And
is Desisha helping to load the cart, or is she
Um,
not?
Also, there was something I wanted to mention. Before leaving with Chrome and Destisha, Maker went to the opposite side of the forge complex, and he just shut some valves.
Shut some
draws
valves,
valves.
set some of the
Yeah.
forges so that they're gonna like hiss and like set them to burst, basically, right?
Pretty much, yes.
They won't explode outright because they're not that
Yeah,
kind
the
of
idea-
machine, but they will like.
The idea
they
is
will
just that
yeah.
something happens. Something bad is going to happen on the other side of the area.
It's going to break and cause a lot of problems, and you can hear that. You can sort of hear the aftermath of Maker's like, give me an Arcana or give me an engineering check. This is Arcadic stuff.
I got a 22.
Yes, you are.
Does mechanical traps apply?
You know what? I will say that explosives applies because you're trying to pressurize
Explode.
stuff. You're trying
Fair
to.
enough.
Between those two specialties that are like half of the way there. Okay, this thing isn't like meant to explode, but you managed to get it like just. The aquatic energy is building up in areas it's not supposed to. You sabotage it a bit, and you can sort of hear it like starting to like screech and like belch out like gouts of flame as people are like panicking, running around. Someone's like, "Ah, it burns!" As it seems like there has been a workplace accident. Oh no, who could be responsible for this? It's Maker.
definitely not the spy.
Yes. Maker is taking a temporary break from being robot CIA in order to be robot industrial
Terrorist.
sabotage.
I mean, same thing, basically.
So now, Destisha, what are you doing? While Crom is like neatly packing this thing, Maker is are you like looking for anything particularly good to find? Are you doing anything else?
Are do they have any of the orichalc? Do they look like they stored orichalcum here?
No, that is not something that you leave
Okay.
around in a wooden box. From what you see and what Donald said, it sounds like the raw ore is shipped off and never actually gets sent to this facility.
Okay. Is there? So we've got weapons, armor. Was there tools, and what was the third one? Fourth one?
Ranged weaponry, like
Okay.
weaponry, ranged weaponry, armor. And
Okay,
tools.
we'll grab a few of those as well.
Would you like to make an investigation check to like
Yes, please.
look around specifically in order to see like right now Crom is just kind of like packing up whatever he can find, to like maybe be a little bit more selective, maybe find some good
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll look for some good.
Okay, that is plenty. You actually find a couple interesting boxes. One is like a little small box. It's maybe like it's like this is not like a full-on crate. This is a small box with only one item in it. It has a hand fusel, like a pretty nicely crafted one. It looked similar to the one that the Praetor back in Galleon had. And from what you can tell, it looks like this might be like made on order for some like new Imperial officer and set to be shipped off somewhere.
That?
And with it, there are a pair of leased soul gems, just sort of like nicely placed in next to it so that it can be loaded up easily and used.
We're taking those as well.
The other thing you can find is a box full of straw and full of, like, loaded carefully with 6 of these little copper orbs, and a note saying that these are weapons of some sort, and this is like a first production run at making them at this facility. But if the Eyrie is interested in them, then with a further allocation of skilled craftsmen, our brigade could shift into producing these en masse. So I'm going to go into this little thingamajig here. Everyone... Give me shown your fancy new hand fusils.
Hooray!
Well, your one hand fusel, and survey half a dozen firebombs. These should be in your journal, so you can peruse them at your leisure.
Okay. Ooh. Granada!
It is Granada. Yes, very much so. You now have bombs and a gun.
We'll be taking those.
She puts them carefully in the in Crom's nice pile.
This particular elemental fusel is set to fire, as it's like element, but it's something that you can change with a bit of tinkering. Maker could modify it at a later date, probably.
Okay.
So as you're like packing this up, the distraction seems like it's like winding down a little bit. You've got a few guards are starting to like filter back into the building. They don't pick you out immediately as doing something untoward, because you're just like loading up a cart. There's loads of people loading up carts around you. But as soon as you start going in a direction that isn't towards the warehouse, it's likely you're going to be noticed.
How heavy is this big cart now that it's filled up?
If you've got one of them filled up, it is... These are basically like, what's the term? Like little like rickshaws. Like you stand in front of them, there's a couple like things you hold onto, and you like drag it behind you as you pull it behind you as you walk around. They're very heavy. As long as you stick to like the cobblestones around the town, it's going to be manageable. I'd say it's like if any of you could pull one, but to pull one quickly is going to be an athletics check.
Hey, Crom, do you have a good hold on this?
Yeah, I believe so. Why? She's going to just make sure it's kind of tied onto this, and he's got it. Wait, can these rickshaws go around empty? Are they? It's not strange if they're empty, right? If you just pull it into the town or something.
No. Like usually there's empty ones that come back here after they deposit what they're carrying in the warehouse.
Okay. So I'm thinking about making the cart invisible. I have invisibility as a spell. Let me check if I can do that.
Okay, it looks like no. That's only creatures. So instead,
Could make Crom invisible and go, Ghost cart! It's pulling
That's why
itself.
I was wondering if he could pick it up, so that way it would be his
It is
inventory.
entirely too heavy for him to pick up. Like
Yeah,
maybe as like a feat of strength, Crom could like lift it for like a moment with like a good athletics check, but he can't carry it for like a extended distance. Like it'd
you
be a
stopped
struggle
him
to
from
even.
doing that in character creation.
Yes. Yes, I performed the criminal act of preventing you from stacking carrying weight modifiers that you could lift like 8 tons.
I only could get up to half a ton.
Yes.
The other thing I was thinking of is I have silent image that I can cast, and
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about making it look like something else. Like, do they carry dirt or what's something they would carry out of here, it looks like?
Well, they carry out carts full of crates just like you're doing, but the thing is, down here at this intersection, they turn and they go towards the warehouse. It's at this point where there are like gates and stuff across this
Okay.
place where the forge complex. They're open a lot of the time, but uh,
We have to get out of there.
Yeah, that's the point where you need to like get out of. And as long as you're like heading like towards like down this thoroughfare, like it's not suspicious to be dragging a cart. You are again taking things from a place that makes them to a place that stores them. Nobody's going to question that until you stop going where you're supposed to be going.
Are there things that go from that are taken from the town into the warehouse?
Most of it, it's from the part of town, like the residential part of town. It is not that much actually. It's mostly workers come from the town into the forge complex.
Because it would be unusual, but there would be reasons for an empty cart to leave into the town. Is what I mean. So
there
could
would
always
be reasons for it to happen. Like it's something that it might draw questions, but it's plausible.
Yeah, so can always illusion it to look empty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to silent image an empty cart.
Okay. So that is you weave the illusion over the cart. And do you start heading out?
Yes.
Like a lot of
Destination.
focus in this building is still on Maker's like engineered meltdown over in the southern part of it. As you go outside, you can see like one of like the vats of molten metal has ruptured basically, and just there's like a lot of like molten copper that has spilled out all over all over like the materials yard, and people are like backing away from it, staring at it in confusion, being like, what do I do about this? Like, it's not totally clear. But as you move on past, nobody's really questioning you until you get to there is a closed gate. There's a closed gate right here, and at it, you've got like a couple guards, few thralls, decent amount of guard, like a decent amount of like overwatch here. They seem to be focusing on things moving in and out of the forge complex more than within it. So if you approach this with an empty cart, you're going to maybe met with a little bit of scrutiny. They're going to look at you and they say, halt. What do you want? What do you want? Where are you bringing that? Aren't you on shift?
Do you see the points back at the forges? Don't you hear from over there? There's currently a little bit of a workplace accident going on. There's copper all over the place.
Molten copper.
And
we're going out. We were just going out to grab a few parts to to get that under control. We had some in there, but well, we can't really use them when they're covered in molten copper.
You have permission to be out here? You have permission to go get those?
Yes.
All right, what do you need?
We need.
She motions to Maker.
Give me like an easy engineering check to rattle off what exactly is going to be needed.
Just hand out a list of stuff.
Yeah. That'll do it. Alright, I see. Okay. Workers, you go back to the complex. We will send someone to pick these things up, as you were. Workers on shift, stay on shift. If you want to get paid, get back. He like motions to open up the gate. The gate it's just sort of like a metal fence gate. A couple of the other guards, they push it open. They seem to be like having a brief discussion over who is going to go fetch these things. And he's like, all right, leave your card here, and we will handle the rest.
Let's see.
Are
Please.
you sure you're all going to be able to do it in one go?
Listen here. Listen here. Yes, we can. They look at Crom and seem they seem like they want to like make a comment of like, oh yeah, we can do whatever you can, but they think better of it. They think, okay, maybe we probably can't do what this guy can, but they're also not going to argue.
Listen, the entire workspace is covered in molten metal. Any work that I can get done, the more important work I can be doing is going to get the parts to fix this. Otherwise, I'm going to be standing around doing nothing. So let me go get the parts, all of them, and just drag them back here.
Could you get me an intimidation? And you can use strength for this if you want, because you're intimidating by being large.
I already can do that because I have Mark of the Wild, which
it.
allows me to use strength checks for intimidation and persuasion.
Neat.
They seem to be looking for an excuse to like stop you or to accost you, but they're not like immediately coming up with one.
I'm his money.
She starts snapping her fingers.
Fine. Go ahead. We'll send someone with you to make sure that you don't get up to anything. Yeah.
Fine. Then Crom just starts making his way through the gates without waiting for someone.
Yeah. The apparent head guard barks at one of like the junior guards to like jog along behind you.
All right. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
She starts thinking about this other guard that's following them.
You have collaborators. Now that you're back in like the residential area, if you can like get this anywhere, there's a bunch of people ready to swoop in and basically like grab all the stuff out of it piecemeal and like disperse. So all you need is to buy like a brief moment where it's stationary and like there will be people on hand to.
All right. So
We're walking towards somewheres, and she's looking for one of the people they know from the meeting to pretty much show that give them the signal that we have the thing.
Yeah, you actually see on this on this street corner here. You see like the dwarf, a dwarf that you recognize from that hideout meeting, just kind of sitting there, sitting on like a little stool outside a building. He sees you, and just kind of gives like a small nod from under, like he's got kind of like a waterproof cloak up, hood over his head. Not at all unusual given how much it rains here, but he gives you a little bit of like hey, I see you. He looks a little bit confused at the empty cart that you're carrying with you, but seems to be trying to follow your lead.
She pretty much she lifts one of her 6 hands from beneath her cloaks and just kind of gives him a okay sign with it to show that it's being successful.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is we're doing, even if it doesn't look like it.
All right.
So we, Justicia tries to lead to some sort of like big alleyway or a spot to be properly ambushed from.
So
We,
the guard. Sorry, carry on.
You go. You can go.
Just the guard. If you start like making any kind of turn, the guard's being like, "So where are you going? Where are you going anyway? You didn't say what the where you would be acquiring these supplies."
Stops at a crossroad and starts looking back and forth. Let's see. We're going towards. She motions Crom to stop. Crom takes the cart and pushes it over into off the street, so that way it's not in the way. Pushes it over into an alleyway and kind of leans his back against it and kind of covering his back, trying to cover up the cart behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? Are you sure you remember which way we're supposed to be going?
I swore it was this way.
Justicia, do you continue sustaining the minor illusion because your friends cannot actually see the things they're supposed to be getting out of your cart at present?
Yeah. She's trying to think of a way to get the guard out of there.
While Crom is hiding behind Crom,
The whole cart hiding behind Crom.
how big is the cart?
The cart is pretty big. It's bigger than Crom is.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I have a solution to this problem. Maker is going to position himself behind the guard, and is the dwarf still in range of us?
Mm-hmm. He's keeping an eye on you.
He's going to use a mage hand to just write illusion on the floor, on the sand.
I see. The dwarf like looks at you and just kind of gives a small nod, and you see him like stand up and give like a small nod to like a few other people in the street. Like you can't see exactly everyone who's associated with this, but it seems like some number of people out in the street at the moment are in on this plan. Just they seem to be waiting for like some kind of signal that like you're ready to go.
Let's try.
she starts walking this way and puts one of her feet into one of those overfilled storm drains and just kind of falls over into it.
Just drenched in mud, soaked right through.
This is disgusting!
What are you doing? What are you?
Don't just stand there. Help!
And she puts up
Why?
one of her hands.
The guard like leans down and grabs it and tries to like kind of yank her to her feet. Unlike the workers, these guards do not seem to have an enormous amount of innate reverence for someone for being Imperial. They are used to being in charge themselves.
Yeah.
But
What a rube.
while she does that, like several people sort of like move up to Crom, including that dwarf, and you just see him, hear him say like, "Are you ready for this? Are you good?"
Rabbit.
All right, all right. The dwarf just leans in. He sort of fumbles at like the invisible crates, like seems to like get a hold of one of them. And
What happens when people touch a silent image, brother?
Let's see. It is.
does it get broken or disbelieved?
I think it's just disbelief, but I haven't checked this system.
A creature can spend an action to make an investigation check against your spell DC to determine if the spell image is an illusion. On a success, they are able to see through the image. And
All right. So
yeah, so pretty much touching it, they'd be able to start seeing through the image.
the moment he pulls like the crate out of the image, though, like the image is not on the crate; it's on the
yeah.
cart.
Once it's off once it's not on the cart anymore, it's a crate.
Yeah, it's a crate. So like suddenly it just seems like this guy pulls like a heavy crate, kind of staggering out of thin air, and starts to run off with it. And you see like a dozen other people just quickly converge on the thing, and the guard notices this, and he just starts saying like, what, like just indignant rage, red faced, like, hey, what is this? What is this? What are you doing? He's
What?
still like holding Desticia's hand from like having like pulled her up, and like kind of like yanks on it, just like, what's going on here?
What's going on here?
Crom is going to flip around and what's this?
What's this? What is
Maker
this?
does not react. He's just an automaton. He doesn't really have initiative.
Desticia, give me a deception again.
Let's see.
Deception. Her amazing capacity for deception. Hiya.
Gonna roll.
That's perfectly average, I guess.
You could never make a perfectly average roll. It's slightly below average. It's all right. He seems like he's like calculating for a second, but as he sees as he
got a
sees,
guidance?
yeah, as he sees like these people like grabbing crates and running off with them, like the cart is emptying very quickly. He doesn't have backup to do this, but he lets go of Justitian. He's like, "Don't move. I will be right back. If you're gone, you're dead." And he starts like sprinting up the street back to the forge complex, probably in pursuit of other support.
Crom's going to just walk up to Justicia, drop down a hand and pull her up.
Ugh. Gross. Don't move or you're dead. Ugh.
She just makes a face after the guy and prestidigitates the mud off of her.
You can prestidigitate the mud, but can you really? It's a lot of mud. That's a lot of prestidigitation casts.
At least enough off the top of her.
Yeah, she like scrapes it off.
Yeah.
Like magic.
She's not completely clean, just enough to move an acceptable amount of filth.
Yes. So, You've got
Alright.
like a minute. You're not that far from the Forge Complex. You've got like 1 or 2 minutes to get out of here and disperse.
Well, time to disperse. I don't plan on dying again. Whoosh.
He starts running.
So, you
Maker does say there's no reason to stay.
You follow. You catch on to some of the last people like hauling things out of this crate, out of this cart, and you sort of follow them. You head down this side street. Yeah, move here, move through some alleyways, and you head deep into the like back alleys of one of like the denser residential blocks. Now, as you go in, you see this like you enter an area that looks like it's like a bit of a hideout currently. Like nobody's following you. And you see people coming at this place from a few different directions to avoid getting tailed. It's a bit larger than the kitchen you were crammed into before, but it doesn't seem to be any less temporary. Sort of a conflux of back alleys, a little wedge of undeveloped land far from the main thoroughfares. There's some tarps spread out between the roofs of this like makeshift little plaza. Basically a place where a couple like back alleys kind of align in such a way that you've got like a sort of crude mud yard between them. And tarps spread out between the roofs give it like the approximation of a roof, a little bit of shelter from the rain. And you see like some of the rebels are already here, sifting through boxes of weaponry brought in by people who arrived before you did. You can see Neil, the male conserva from earlier, just sort of a presence in this area, broadly directing people here and there, while you've got a little like command station set up, I guess you could say. Someone has dragged a kitchen table out into the street to serve as like a little like planning area with some sketched out maps of the city, some notes on paper. Things are chaotic right now from people arriving. Everyone kind of tense and waiting to see whether they're going to have to pick up and move if the guards get too close. But it seems like you've gotten away scot-free.
Esticio walks over to the table and just kind of sits on the corner.
And there we go. Simple.
That was a lot cleaner than I was expecting.
Neal looks you up and down, just sort of like folds his arms. His ears twitch a little bit. As a Consaro, he's got just sort of these canine ears and a big old fluffy tail, but otherwise he looks like he could pass for for a human or human kin. Kind of gives you a appraising look. Seems genuinely impressed. Seems to be like thinking about how to phrase that though. He's eventually just nods at Crom and just goes, "Yeah, not gonna lie, I was expecting you to come here with half the garrison trailing behind you, if you came here at all. Good job. Really, good job. I'm impressed. Real impressed. You've got a knack for this. Good job." He nods. For now, sorry.
Of course, I was leading the way.
Of course you were. Huh. He, like, just scans Distisha up and down. Gonna be honest, I still don't know what to make of you. But, for now, seems like we've got a bit of a reprieve. Go through the loot, pick out what you want. Come find me when you're ready to discuss what we're actually planning. He gives a small smile. Just Maeve and your friends should be back any minute now. And once they're back, well, you'll see. He nods and sort of heads off to begin arranging something on that table. Right now, you can sift through the carts. You can take that fusel and those bombs if you want them. But
Well,
you can also take like any combination of, there's breastplates, there's are they like chain shirts, your standard like no like plate mail or half plate, but basically any other armor is available. Basically any like melee martial weapon is available. So you can just kind of, unless it's like super expensive, run past me whatever you're taking and you can just grab those out. In addition, you can have the soul gems that you found in the Fusel's box, and as like thanks for running, you've been given a good 100 Galders each to outfit yourself further with local shops and what have you, if you need them.
okay. Just a quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
The camera for the screen didn't follow our characters
Oh,
for the
oops.
stream.
Yep. You are correct.
Yeah, I tried to point that out in private.
In that case,
Okay.
I accidentally moved the wrong camera. You have my camera and not the party camera. So you're down here. The hideout moves where you do. Baby is still somewhere out in the town. But
Okay.
with this,
I will. Sorry, I was gonna just take a rapier.
yeah, take a rapier. Would you like to take any like armor with that? Like a, I don't know whether Justicia wears armor actually.
He has fine padded armor that was made in the last town, so
Okay.
so she's got armor right now.
Okay. Crom, what do you think you'll be grabbing out of the pile, if anything?
I think he's going to grab a great sword.
Good choice. There's like a big solid, just slab-looking greatsword. It looks like it probably was made for something inhuman to be swinging around, but Crom is plenty big. It's
Luckily, not a human.
Yep, it's sized appropriately for it. And Maker, do you just is there any like armor that you'd like? Any?
Maker already has a chain shirt, I believe, that Chrome made.
Mm-hmm.
So there really isn't anything that he needs. He already has his arsenal.
He's fully kitted out already off his own power.
Basically. I guess it takes he takes some of the bombs. Well, one of the bombs at the very least.
One bomb. Who is getting the bombs currently?
Let's see. I was just carrying the box, so we can just. Well, there are archaic devices, so.
Maker's prime interest right now is actually in getting his hands on the two devices that we found, the fuzzy and the bombs. so he can study them and add them to his list of schematics.
All right.
All
She
right.
she passes over the fusel for him to study.
It's a fine piece of work, honestly. It's not the same kind of like firearm that Lakmarans would use, because these Imperial fusils run off soul gems, which are not
It's
something.
horrible.
Yes, they're not something that Lakmarans make use out of. But the central design is sound. All that being said, once you finish the bustle of picking things out, you can like approach Niall, who at some point in this, his partner seems to have returned, and they have returned to their like embarrassing public display of affection, standing way too close to each other shtick. Like standing
Blech.
shoulder to shoulder at the planning table, like discussing something and pointing at a few different locations.
Sticia took that time now that they're not running to properly clean herself off.
Scrub, scrub, scrub.
And now that she's all nice and shiny once again, goes to meet with the leader of the resistance.
Mhm.
Or at least
Justicia
some-
still wearing like the clothes that Sersha lent her, like the sort of just standard, typical, like Partu commoner outfit.
yeah. Because that's what was used to blend in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm figuring that is also basically what Crom is wearing.
Yeah.
Albeit with some additional tailoring to fit.
He's wearing two of them.
Maker is back in his full cloak, just
Yes.
pretending to be, I don't know.
He has put his clothes back on.
Yeah.
He is no longer a naked robot. Okay. So, do you approach, or is there anything you'd like to sort out on your own first?
There's no, I don't think so. We've gotten all the stuff here, so she's interested in whatever this plan they had in mind was. So she's gonna mosey on over and take that spot at the corner of the table again.
Your presence is acknowledged, and after a moment or two, as the three of you sort of move up, Niall gives like a small nod to himself as much as anything, just like, yeah, okay, feeling good about this. Mabe here says that you've lost your tail. There's some guards crawling around in the town, but as long as you stick to the back alleys, I don't expect they'll dig too deep. They seem to think that this is some kind of they probably assume you're going to sell the gear for money, and they're planning on tracking you down then, I'd expect. We are not going to be doing that. Fortunately, you had a good haul. Couldn't quite get everyone outfitted, but it looks like we're going to have enough to get a core group well equipped for that. I gotta congratulate you, but he rolls his shoulders a bit. All right. This is just the warm-up, though. Tell me, you look at this map of this town. You look at this godforsaken city. What would you hit if you could? Where do you think the weak point is?
Well, if you'd asked me where I'd hit the bathhouse, but for a weak spot, let's see.
She starts looking over the map.
The best initial target for any what's the word? I forgot.
Demolitions?
No, not demolitions. For any.
I don't know the word you're looking for. I would help.
I know that's the. It's not sabotage. It's
Insurrection?
not. Maybe.
Rebellion?
Sabotage?
Not that. He wants to. He wants to disrupt the Imperial operations here.
I think sabotage is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, I think sabotage is the word you're looking for.
Okay then. The best initial target for any sabotage operations in an Imperial facility such as this is the vault.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where they've got that place heavily guarded. They've got it locked down. There's a pile of Galders inside. That is why it is the perfect distraction. Mabe, want to do the honors? The woman behind him just gives a little roll of her eyes, takes out her dagger, kind of like fiddles with it a little bit, then slams it down right at the north end of town, at the Geomantic Control Center. What if I told you that we had some schematics for this place? Now, they'll tell you that control center is largely stripped down. It's not what it once was, but neither is this land. Partu never recovered from the wound they inflicted on her. Pump enough soul gems into that geomantic control center. Boom! This entire god-awful town is gone. Not in a big explosion, but we can get the magma to bubble up again. Just like it did when it cleansed this entire area when they initially had this land. It would put a complete halt to all Imperial operations. It would be a real strike against Erodon and all the entire occupying force. This is where they forge weapons for thralls across the entire province.
Okay, but like, what about everyone living here?
We get out.
All right.
We can run. Look, it's not going to be a blast wave. It's going to take time to melt. But if you can get it going, it's not something they're going to be able to stop. We've got people already in place to guide the evacuation. You get up there, you use the public address system to warn people, to get them going. We've been stockpiling food, we've been stockpiling weapons, and charting out routes. That's what kids like, what's his name? Kieran. That's what Kieran was doing when you found him, looking for routes to move stuff out of the city. He didn't know about this particular stroke, but very soon, most of the people in our group will.
Well, I'm glad you didn't tell him that. He could barely manage a flatback.
I don't... Nah, I know. Look, it's a big stroke, but if we don't make a big move, we're just going to be sitting here forever, slowly losing ground as the frickin' Imperials build things up bit by bit. Every year that passes, every season, every month that passes, their grip on this place gets stronger. This is our chance to push back. As that aside, there's half a dozen groups operating in southern Partu. This makes our brigade the leading force in this revolution. Gets our name out there, gets your name out there, gets my name out there. Provides a rally point for people. What do you say? What do you think?
Do you have those schematics on you?
Not here with me, but we do have them. I'm gonna need your engineer friend to look over them. See, that's the one hitch in the plan. We haven't been able to carry it out thus far for 2 reasons. One, we haven't had the armaments to put up a proper distraction. We need to pull people away from the mines. En masse. We need what looks like a full-scale attack somewhere else in town in order to slip people up to the control center. 2, we need someone who can operate the geomantic things itself. They're using an aquatic interface for a bunch of stuff up there, and we've got sorcerers, a few of them, but they're basic, and we don't have any proper engineers. With you guys and with these weapons, both those problems are solved. We're good to go. There's just a few final preparations we need to put into place, getting ready for the attack and the ensuing evacuation.
Your plan is bolder than I'm used to, but I like it. I will see if it's manageable.
Vote of confidence from the Lekmarin. That's something. If we don't act bold, if we don't hit hard, hit fast, then what are we even doing here?
So you've already gotten a place for the refugees that are going to be swarming out of this place, right?
We've got contacts in neighboring towns. We're going... Look, I can't pretend that I know exactly where every person is going to end up. And I can't pretend that we're going to have enough supplies to feed every single person. We can get most of the way there. But, look, there's no way that we're going to pull off a plan this big perfectly. There's going to need to be some improvisation along the way. I'm not going to pull my punches just to be safe.
Please, the plan won't come out perfectly. I think you forgot that I'm here.
Yeah, you, the...
How can we? You won't let us forget you.
If
I'm
only we
unforgettable.
could.
All right. We should be ready to move in. Mabe, what do you think? You were out there scouting. Assuming 2 days, and we'll be good. We need to double check all our supply caches, and we need to ensure that anyone with a basic idea of how to swing a weapon around is outfitted. But after that, we're good to move. Hey, what's your name, Lekmarin?
Well then, full introduction is in order. I am 4th Order Engineer, Rough Militant Maker.
And, Fluffy, tall guy. You said you had some kind of crafting expertise?
Yes, I'm a smith by trade. It's Grim. Crom Grim.
I've been told that we're going to need to make a control plate, something to slot into the control center in order to override its usual safeties. If you have proper schematics, do the two of you think 2 days is enough time to hammer out what we're going to need here?
Probably. As long as I have the schematic for it, I can at least attempt it.
All right, I'll get you in touch with our. We've got a sorcerer who's prepping this stuff.
I'll also need a forge.
That we can do. Mr. Fourth Order, what do you need? Tools? Supplies? I don't really know how this aquatic stuff works, but...
Tinker's tools would be helpful. I currently only have a set of alchemical apparatuses on me, and that would not be particularly conducive to dealing with control panel.
All right.
Unless I wanted to melt it.
Yeah, I know where we can get a set of those.
Thank you.
You two are on that duty. Mabe, you, what's your appraisal of this little group scout? She knows how to use her daggers and is She's passable. Needs training. Then I will trust you to whip her into shape and keep an eye on the Imperials while you're doing it. Which leaves... Blue.
Blue.
You. He points
Yeah,
at Justicia.
me.
What to do with you?
I think I can decide that. Thank you very much.
Can you craft anything? Can you sneak? Something tells me no. Look, okay. We need our foods. We need someone going around checking on our food caches. Grab a delivery of food. Take them to the kids who need them. And here, move to this. We've got another little safe house. There's someone there that I think you should talk to. I'd like to hear what he thinks of you.
You want me to be a gopher?
For now, yeah. Got a problem with that?
It's like being back at the academy.
She gets up.
I have nothing better to do, I guess.
Good. We've got some, packed meals. Kids will be happy for him anyway. Go ahead. He, gestures you towards, like, a little hand cart and... Oh, and put your hair down or something. You're easy to spot with it up like that.
Everyone keeps complaining about my hair. First it's down too much, and now it's up too much. How about I just throw some charcoal in it or something?
Not a bad idea.
That's a sound plan.
Anyway. He beckons to Crom and Maker, and the party temporarily splits. So, we will start off with Crom and Maker. You are ushered through town to a little area in a neighboring block where someone's got like a old basement dugout where they seem to have set up some like simple like smithing areas. It's not much, but they've got some stolen supplies. They've got tinker tools for Maker, and they've got some sets of complex like schema laid out on a series of tables. These appear to be actual, like, they're copies, but they appear to be copies of, like, an actual original blueprint, which, very, very complicated. Lots of notes that seem to have been copied over a little bit haphazardly. Probably someone could see the original blueprint, but didn't fully understand what all the symbols and annotations meant. But Maker, could you give me an engineering check to like parse it as you settle into this little underground forge area?
I'm going to assume my specialties do not apply.
They do not apply.
Well, I still get an extra D6 anyway because our tips are
Yep.
and the guidance.
Maker nailing it with these engineering checks. Wow. So you're able to like easily make sense of it, cut through the issues, and like it takes you like 5 minutes to like fully absorb what this is. It is a very complex design, but it is not an especially it's not an especially like technically detailed one. It's built very much by someone who's making full use of the brute force of like soul-powered technology in order to there's no like finesse in the Akkadic symbols. It's just they are being used as a control mechanism to interface with the raw power of what is at the end of the day basically a giant like magic staff at the center of the whole thing. A big metal like pylon driven down into the earth to radiate out control over it. According to this, you are not going to have enough energy to like make it erupt, but it is using calculations built on a land that did not already have a forced eruption brought upon it. So like as you're pouring these over, you're joined by someone who kind of like comes down the stairs, like plods down at a very kind of like easygoing pace, hands in his pockets, looking down his nose, and then looking up his nose is this like a little gnomish fellow, kind of bright, frizzy, reddish hair, big sideburns, no mustache or beard, just has robes of like a kind of sea green color that are reminiscent of, you've seen a lot of people with this particular hue. Someone give me a history check between Crom and Maker.
Oh boy.
Or culture, not history. I forget that it's a separate skill.
Even better.
Technically, I have a positive modifier on that, I guess. It's a bit worse than my history.
Go for it.
Actually, is that an intelligence-based check?
It is an intelligence-based check. Maker doesn't actually remember this, but Crom does, fascinatingly. Which is that sea blue is commonly associated with Nessus. This may be a priest or a sorcerer devoted to the goddess in some capacity. And he just gives you like an appraising look and just is so you're the tinker who is going to be lending a hand?
I resent that word, but yes.
Well, what do you call it? You fiddle in with runes and what have you to
Just call me Maker.
Maker. I see. Tige. Pleasure. I am the most experienced sorcerer that our little group has going for it, and unfortunately that's not saying all that much. I can make a few things out of the core process of these designs, but I've been having a hard time on my own justifying the effort that went into getting them. Can you make heads or tails of the control mechanisms on the outside?
Easily.
Very good. Very good. And you think you'll be able to make our own little... As far as I can tell, you make a disc, you insert it, and that disc executes on the plan. They presumably have a whole set of them for their standard things, prospecting for metal and that sort of duty, but we're going to be making our own and telling it to just shove as much energy straight down as it possibly can. We're going to get the ground real angry. And that's within your abilities?
Setting up the protocols is not difficult, but I am unsure if you have the necessary output to carry out the...
About that, as I understand it, the plan is to... They've got some big old mining thralls, like rigged up for hewing rock and tearing open tunnels. My understanding is the plan is they're not usually active unless someone has them activated. Someone's going to be stripping the soul gems out of them, and will be feeding those into the main control panels for a bit of a boost. It should be enough. At the very least, it's going
mining
to cause
thralls.
some mighty rumbling. Aye. Fine Imperial handiwork. If you haven't seen them, grant yourself lucky. Damn enormous things. They keep them down in the mines. They require a pilot, but as a number of the more large and complicated ones do, more of a husk than a proper thrall. But they do the work of hewing ore from the walls and what have you. Got to say, I never put much stock in this aquatic magic, but nice to have a artificer of your sort around when needed, eh?
Ecstatics are the proper use of magic in our world. Sorcery is an abuse.
It's a gift of the gods,
You,
but
the gift of the gods surrounds you.
the gift of some gods. I don't worship the triumvirate, and you shouldn't either. Not that I have to tell a lot more than that. At least we can agree on the ones that need killing at this point, eh?
Certainly.
It's no god-slaying sword, but I like to think that what we're planning here is going to be a knife right to the heart of Ardis, or at the very least a nick on one of his hands.
Something I support with everything I have.
Oh? You don't say. I hear you're from the north, from one of them Forge clans.
I am.
Only ever heard about your kind. Not generally put kindly in stories either. First followers of Invidis and all that, but sounds like you have found your own path. Can't blame you for that.
Whatever you've heard is probably true.
Well, here we are. Me, a priest of a dead goddess. A one-time, what did you say? Someone carrying the legacy of a defeated god, and a fine old tinker willing to
Oh,
put the screws to one of the remaining
I'm carrying
ones.
no legacy. I'm doing my best in order to cut that down.
Well then, shall we get to work then?
I shall.
Hammers raise and sparks fly. He starts working with you, handling some of the more arcane parts of the process, but together with Crom's artisanship and Maker's engineering
Makership.
prowess. Yes. Crom, could you
Pure
get...
understanding.
Yes. Crom, could you get me a smithing tools check? And you can have advantage on this because you're getting assistance. Crom is
There.
motivated, fired up with the notion of striking a mighty blow. Crom works his forge, hammer pounding away into the afternoon and into the night even. It's not a room that's ideal for this. Periodically, a brief incantation has to be woven to like clear the air of smoke and what have you, because it's not properly ventilated. But bit by bit, you hammer out a rough brass disc about 2 feet across, and under Maker's careful instruction, you spend a lot of the next day like etching intricate patterns onto it and imbuing it with all the instructions it's going to need to set this place to blow.
Mighty fine work.
Passable.
Meanwhile, Destisha, you are dispatched with several pretty heavy baskets that, for someone who is fully capable of, well, actually, I know Destisha has magic for using arcane power to like punch and kick people. Does she
Yes.
have magic to use arcane power to carry things?
Arcane muscle. What it allows her, it buffs herself to use her intelligence for athletics and strength-based things.
Very nice. So she should have no difficulty in, like, she ends up being like a little bit of a sight. She's got like 4 baskets that she's carrying on her various arms, just trying to like balance them all. But
And the other last 2 ones are making sure the spell keeps up. It only lasts a minute.
yeah, just every minute or so, like muttering a quick incantation so that you don't immediately fall over and land in the gutter again. But you head down to like the south side of town, and you make a stop by a kind of longish building. Looks like a lodge or a inn or a communal building of some sort. And pretty much the moment you step inside, it's, for one thing, it's nice to just get in out of the rain. Never before this whole ordeal had you ever appreciated the warmth of like being inside in some place with a fire going as much as you have appreciated it since arriving in Partu. The fact that you're soaked through like every time you go outside for basically any reason really adds up. But aside from being warm, you are accosted almost immediately by like a kid who looks like maybe like 13 or 14, just like sort of peeks out from a room into like the little antechamber where you're standing, leans back and just shouts like, "Hey, Neil sent some Imperial weirdo with food. Uh, someone, someone someone go get Crispus. Uh, Mealtime." And just like makes a beckoning gesture, and pretty soon Destisha is surrounded by like 15 people ages 7 to 16 who very much want like something out of these baskets, like hey, can you got any food out of these, like, oh, do you have any, did you bring any berries, any crab meat?
Whoop, whoop, whoop. She moves her legs out of the way of some of the smaller ones that get too close.
Yes, there are children very much in danger of being cut on Destisha's lower limbs at the moment.
There's
I'm
something.
Marshall. Sorry.
The sandwich. I think berries. Yeah, I guess it's berries. Someone else can sort these if they want. I was
So,
just told to deliver them.
as you're like digging through your baskets and handing stuff out, you hear like a little like click noise, and your attention is drawn to another actual adult who is stepping out of one of the hallways and kind of holding up like a little boxy device that has just flashed in your face. And he is another Imperial. You can pretty easily make out. Doesn't seem to have any flesh crafting on him, but you can make out Imperial features pretty easily. Kind of mousy looking, shorter than you are, and just has these wire spectacles just like perched on the bridge of his nose, through which he's giving you kind of like a nervous look. He gives a small like a apologies. I should have asked, but you struck a bit of a pose there. Struck a bit of an image. It resonated with me. Thought I'd capture it. My name is Crispus. It's a pleasure. I didn't see very many other Imperials.
And speak.
Apologies. This is it's something I've dealt with since I was very young, but another Imperial, huh? I'd heard mention that one had arrived and talked to the commander, but welcome. This is an unexpected surprise. Yeah, could you come in? I'll Lily and Vel, go ahead and hand out the rest of these to the younger children, please. Thank you. Like two of the.
He happily hands them over.
Yeah, there's a moment of like disentangling all the baskets from Desticia's arms, but she's quickly given the opportunity to step aside and carefully step over the kids as they kind of like plop onto benches or sections of the rug. And now that you're not like immediately accosted by a dozen or so people, looks like it's a sort of common area of what must be either like a daycare or an orphanage or something of the sort. The line gets blurry.
A gremlin cottage.
A gremlin colony, yes. You've got like hallways stretching in both directions. There's stairs. Looks like this place is a couple stories high. But this mousy Imperial fellow, he gestures just up. Are you busy, or were you just do you, I wouldn't want to keep you for anything important, but if you have a moment or two to sit down and talk, I wouldn't mind.
Oh, I'm just, trying to save all the continent and the rest of the world, but I suppose I could take a few moments.
Yes, you and everyone here, I suppose.
She does not want to go outside again already. She just dried herself with her free hands.
Well, I guess you could say that, well, mind if I ask no, I should introduce myself first, properly. Crispus is my name. I've been with this particular little cell for, gods, 6 months now? Yes, a little over. It's taken some getting used to. I can't say I ever dealt in subterfuge before coming out to Partu, but it's in all that time, I think you're the first fellow I've seen from the Heartland. Do you mind if I ask what brings you out here?
No, that's fine.
As she walks over, carefully not stepping on the rugs, just a tink, tink, tink as she goes across the floor. She takes a seat at one of the tables, and there's a slight stinging noise as she kind of rubs her leg, the blades of her legs together, and crosses them.
Oh, I can hear that noise in my head, and it's awful. Shink.
And she just gets comfortable. She'd rather have a little bit of a talk instead of being asked to drag food around again. So she'll feign interest, at least for a little bit.
So, let's see. Yes, I'm from the mainland. Not haven't been around here for very long. Maybe a week or so since I came to Partu.
Oh, interesting. What you out?
Um, well, you could say it was business that sent me out here.
Uh, uh, well, you're in a strange business, that's for certain. If you're dealing with these people, I been well. I guess for my own part, well, have a look at this little device. It's something I've put together. It's hardly unique, but it's I well, I like to imagine it'll have some nice implications. Well, here, take a look. He opens up the little like wooden box in his hand, and he pulls out a sort of a glass plate that seems to have um, sort of a dark, inverted image of what of Justicia from a few moments ago, like standing amid a crowd of kids handing out food, and just watch a moment. And he pulls out a piece of paper from like a thing in his hand, and just a simple cantrip. I put this here, and he like mutters something under his breath, pulls the paper away, and it is in black and white, but a remarkably sharp and clear replication of the image. And he holds it up proudly. It's a toy. I know, but I built this back at an academy back home, and well, I thought to myself, what good could it do to just take a picture here and there, and I thought, why I'll go out, and I'm a proud Imperial son, and I'll capture some of the glory of the Empire and all that's
Ooh,
good. You know, right? I'm sure you can relate. You know how the Academy is. Anything
yeah,
to make a name. But at any point, I thought I went looking, and it's just, I mean, you start looking, and the glory of the Empire, it just stops seeming terribly glorious after a point, doesn't it? We've got an
yeah,
awful lot built on the backs of so many people. And, well, I guess I could say that one thing led to another, and here I am, well, doing what I can for an actual resistance cell. It's funny how things just cascade like that, don't they? Uh,
yeah. I guess it is.
you you
Eh,
just you just see it, and you can't tolerate it anymore. You have to do something.
Well, yeah, that's totally what happened to me.
Uh, would it be prying to ask for details? I've not met anyone else who went on this particular journey, and I I'm I'm curious. It would do me good to hear.
She starts tapping her chin, thinking she's got her original Imperial senses going right now in how can I use this to make me look good? Uh, she's pondering it. How can she use this? But are there actual um, is photography actually a thing in the
In the world,
Empire?
it's not common. There's a few ways to like take standing photographs. This is a remarkably convenient and portable one, though. Normally, it would be like you could capture a photograph with like a 1 minute ritual or something like that. This is something that seems to be stripping it into like a gadget and then a cantrip, which is actually markedly more convenient.
She starts looking over the photograph and is even though she has those smarmy thoughts and stuff like that, she is actually impressed by the device because it shows her good side, which is her everything.
It's a toy, isn't it? But I wanted something that can capture more spontaneous moments. But
Sure, a one-of-a-kind artifact could really be classified as a toy.
oh no, this is no artifact. This is just it's an anonymousness. Pardon me, I chose a rather foolish cantrip to name it after, considering. But yes, it's an anonymous charm, a minor image charm, and mind that glass plate will fade in a few minutes, and well, a few aquatic triggers here and there, and just a minor soul gem as a battery. It's simple altogether. It's just I thought I'm no fine artificer, but if
Oh no, this is pretty good. You, I haven't really seen that in the. I haven't seen something take an image this fast back at the Capitol. So usually they take a little longer, but just a quick portable image. This is this is quite an achievement you've made here.
thank you, and well, if I could ask if it's not intruding too much, might I this particular image? Do you mind if I make some copies of it? I'd rather, well, seeing you there, I just thought maybe maybe I could. I like to think that we're not the only Imperials with hearts. Maybe a few good images like this could inspire a bit more kindness from our fellows. My ultimate. I mean, one day I would like to return to the capital with a proper portfolio, and show people what actually goes out in these provinces, and
Yeah, not on a boat sent off to one of the processing centers, huh?
ah, I I see. So that's what happened.
It's you get to see a bunch of the Empire when you're on the other end of one of those caravans, you know?
Yeah. Well, I can imagine. I never had the misfortune myself, but I knew people who, well, they're there one day and then the next there's an empty space and you're not supposed to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
We can.
She's quiet for a moment as well, thinking back of home, how she's an empty space there. That even if it matters to her family or if who is actually mattering to.
Did you leave anyone behind, if I could ask? Oh,
She's
I'm
silent.
sorry. That's too much. That's too much. I'm sorry.
Maybe another time.
Of course, of course. It's good to have you on board, friend. We'll we'll make something of this empire, even if we have to tear it down first. Oh my, that was a bit bold, wasn't it? Well,
Oh, no. I'm quite okay with tearing things down as it is.
I suppose the locals are rubbing off on us, eh? But
Oh, no, I was vindictive before I was carted off to this place.
put it to good use then. Put it to good use. He
So, so what are you planning to use it? If you're making a copy of this photo, what are you actually going to do? Just spread it around?
well, I there's several others like it. I'm hoping to build a bit of a portfolio of images of the revolution and or what have you. You know, to I don't know, maybe make it a bit more real in people's minds. Show that
Is
it's not just something people are talking about. Everyone talks about it, but everyone acts like it's impossible. But it's not. There's real people doing this. You're one of them. I should go. I've got work to do, and I'm sure you do as well. But we'll make something of this. I'm sure.
He grimaces at the prospect of going back to work, but she sighs and nods.
yeah, I suppose. Well, go ahead. Use the photo for what you want.
All right.
She gets up, brushes off her back, and carefully makes her way back outside, pulls up her hood.
All right. And with that, you have a little bit of downtime in the midst of your preparations. And I will take from each of you a single downtime action, if you would like to make it. We can start with Crom and Maker, who should have some time while waiting for various portions of their primary project to cool or set to devote to their own efforts.
Tom is going to continue working on that piece of armor he was working on.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just going to roll a smithing roll. And I would like to use my inspiration to my destiny allows me to add +5 to
Go for it.
rolls. So
Yeah.
I'm going to just add a 5 to that.
Nailed it. Yeah, that'll do it. You make some progress, taking those like spare moments to, rather than rest yourself, you're just turning to another project, one flowing right into the next. The din of hammer and anvil is unending. Maker?
Yeah. Maker is going to make 2 more potions of healing.
Just has like a little
Just-
alchemy lab set up.
Yeah. Let me just check up what's my roll again. I think it's just I need to roll this here.
And add
Oh, that's a dubious 2d20.
that is a deeply dubious 2d20. My goodness, a 6 and a 5. Sometimes advantage is +1.
Yep.
Sometimes it's +0. But that should still succeed, I believe. So you make a couple more potions, you stock up.
Yeah.
And night becomes day. Day becomes night again. And then, on that second morning, you are reconvened and prepared to head out. However, because we are missing a Yuli today, I think that rather than head into the mines with just the 3 of you and have to make an excuse for her to rejoin later, I think we're going to start properly with this large-scale operation next time, and we're going to call it a little bit early tonight.
Okay.
All right.
That's very reasonable.
With all that in mind, our heroes gather their supplies, hone their equipment, steel their nerves, and prepare to blow up a mountain. Thank you to everyone for playing, and thanks to everyone in the audience for watching. If you've enjoyed this game and are interested in participating, you can hire me. I run tabletop games professionally in a wide variety of systems and genres. Just check out the About tab in my channel for a rundown on how you can get in touch with me. I would love to work with you to set up exactly the kind of game you and your group are looking for. Until next time, be kind where you can, brave where appropriate, and always try to act in solidarity with those less fortunate than yourselves. Good night, everybody.